So 6 years professionally, you've never had many crazy things. God bless you.
Yeah. No, believe me, I've had issues to deal with. I just mean nothing that was like a
Super
cool story
funny.
of like something that's like what the crap's going on here. I've never had anything like that. But
Have you
thankfully,
ever had a moment that's just caused your spiritual life to increase because you've had to pray so much?
Yeah.
Like specifically with work, like
Kind of going through it right now, honestly.
Okay.
Which is
What's that?
one of the ways we currently connected.
Yeah. Through commiseration.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, no. So
Dope.
I've been in June. It will be 6 years. So I guess I'm more like 5.5 years at this point professionally since I've been doing it full time. That's really what I mean by that. And it's really I've had a huge roller coaster of ups and downs that entire time.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's longer periods of time where things are good.
Cool. Hey, before you go any further, let's intro or something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in my mind,
we have
we were going.
Ben. Oh man, I ruined his flow.
But no,
I don't even remember what we're
this is
talking.
perfect time.
That's good.
Let's hit the intro.
So we are here with Ben. I don't know your last name because you're friends with
It's
Jeremiah.
DeLaughter. DeLaughter.
DeLaughter?
Everyone says DeLaughter. 'Cause that's how
DeLaughter.
it's spelled. But
Really?
yeah, so we could just say DeLaughter.
Heck. I like the laughter better. Is that mean to say?
We had a doctor who I think we were with him for like 10 years or something, and literally every single time he'd be like DeLaughter, and we'd be like, oh, it's DeLaughter, yeah, but okay.
Well,
and then he
it's-
still
it's-
every
it's-
single time.
Less like laughter, more like slaughter.
My mom's a
Exactly. There you
nurse.
go. I didn't think of it that way.
My mom's a nurse, and she worked with a doctor. His literal name was Poo in My Panties. I'm not kidding.
That's his actual name.
That's his actual
last name?
His actual last name was Dr. Poo in My Panties.
Was it pronounced differently?
I don't know.
Was
Well,
there,
he
really go-
Was there some stank on it? You know, like,
He should go by his first name, doctor, whatever his first
Yeah,
that's
name was.
crazy. Yeah,
That's what
I
I
was
That's
just-
I'm sorry. We might have to
just
like
Dr. John, like
Yeah,
at that
like-
point.
Right, exactly.
That's
Bruh.
crazy. So Ben, you are our first guest.
Yeah.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
This
cool.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Look at
And
that.
he's the first guy that responded to feedback.
Yeah.
He's our first guest, which is probably why he's our first guest.
So you're like
Okay.
our first fan.
It's like trying to secure my
First-
spot. I was like, if I
Heck
give them
yeah.
feedback, they'll
Heck
ask
yeah.
me on the show.
yeah, yeah.
So I think just before we ask any hard-hitting questions, just I cut you off earlier, and I cut you off just now. That
No,
seems
it's
to
okay.
be my thing.
That's okay.
Just give us like, a 90-second synopsis of who you are and kind of what got you to the point you're at now.
Sure. Yeah. So again, my name is Ben DeLaughter. I have a wife of almost 7 years now, and we have 3 children who are 4.5, almost 3, and 5 months old. So a son
Whoa.
and 2 daughters. Yeah. So very busy, both in
Yeah.
the professional world and
Yikes.
at home.
God
But
bless you.
If I'm doing my math right, you got married and a year later started your business.
Yes.
Was speaking as someone who got married and then like 4 or 5 months later quit my job and started my business, like that's stressful. It was.
Yes.
Was that like your experience? What motivated that?
I had to. So I had.
Same, honestly. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Like, here we are.
just started being interested in photography primarily, but then a little bit into video.
Yeah.
Before we got married, and I was like started to learn it. I started shooting weddings here and there. It's funny. I always tell people that I started with weddings, but I shot like 5. So I
Yeah.
still did it, but like that was my
That's how I
gateway
started.
into it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we had done that.
Are you saying that weddings are the marijuana of filmmaking?
I think so.
The gateway drug.
That's how I would put it.
That's so good.
I mean, almost everybody I talked to, they're like, I
Right.
started in weddings.
Like,
so
that's how I started.
That's the way to get into it, I guess. But so
Yeah.
I'd started that, and I was just like doing that, obviously, majorly on the side. I wasn't charging a whole lot for it. And I was working at a Benjamin Moore store in Mount Prospect at the time.
Out of curiosity, in the name of, we all out here commiserating. When you say you weren't charging a lot, what's not a lot?
So I did the first 2, I believe, for free. And then.
Weddings?
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah, because I was like, well, they both gave me something, which was nice. I was like, I just want to get my name out there or whatever. And it's also kind of hard because I didn't know second shooting was a thing. So I'm like, I have literally nothing to show them. Like I just tell them like, hey, I'll shoot your wedding.
Yeah.
So the first couple, they gave me $100 afterwards, which I was thankful for because I knew they didn't have I think they paid their photographer like $500 or something. So so I knew they didn't have a lot of money, which is part of the reason why I was able to get in there. And then the second couple, my brother introduced me to, and I had told them I would do it for free, but then they ended up giving me $400 like at the wedding while I was doing it. So I was like, okay, sweet. Cool. And then I think after that I charged like between $2,000 and $2,500 for the next like couple weddings. And then somehow my sister talked me into shooting hers for free, which
regression.
I know, right?
Do you feel like,
it could just be a wedding gift? I was like, wedding gifts are usually $100, not several grand. But okay.
Bro, I had some. I'm like at 4,000 to 6,000 for a wedding right now.
Yeah,
because I still do weddings.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I had somebody in my wife's family was like, "Hey, could you do this as a wedding gift?" And I was like, "I've never given anybody a $6,000 wedding gift."
Right. Yeah, I think people don't quite know what goes into it. But yeah, so that was where I had started, but it was definitely not like a sustainable business or anything. Because even charging that, again, I only had a couple clients.
Yeah,
it wasn't anything major.
Yeah.
So then, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, just jump in. I want, when we have guests on, I want it to be a mix of personal story and then like trying to glean some wisdom from you. So we might kind of jump back and forth, but it just got me thinking: have you, alongside the weddings, did you struggle a lot with pricing yourself well? Because that's the thing. I'm not great at it, but like all of the people I talk to who are learning, like that's the biggest thing.
To an extent, I think I've very quickly realized that I don't want to undervalue myself. Yeah. And when I get into something, I like get into it. So even though this is going to come across as cocky, so hopefully not too bad, but because I was like so invested in like constantly learning, like at work, we'd have a decent amount of downtime. The entire time I'd be watching videos, trying to train myself. I even like at work brought my camera, and when like nothing was going on, I would like take videos of stuff inside our store and just to like practice different moves and things like that. So I think I very quickly ramped up my skill set to the point where I was like, I can't be charging very little or nothing for this, because like even though I'd only been doing it for a year or whatever at that point, I felt like my experience level was further than that because of how invested I was. So I pretty quickly started to invest into courses on like sales and marketing yourself and how to price yourself and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So the biggest, I think, turning point for me was realizing that cheaper clients are also more difficult to deal with. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I had very quickly learned that, and I had different points of like kind of regressing into that, like when things were difficult and I would just charge people less and then they're absolute pain to work with. But
that's the trap, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like,
I need something, but
because this is kind of the thing, and it's good. What I'm hearing from you is that you invested in not just becoming a better filmmaker, but figuring out how to be a marketer and figuring out how to be a business person, which is, I think, what we've learned over time that a lot of creative people miss. Yeah. Because they do the first part where like, oh, I really like this, and then they invest in gear and they invest in how do you color grade? How do you white balance? And you watch hours and hours and hours of YouTube, or at least that's what I did. Yeah. That's what I hear a lot of people doing. But the first thing I heard you say was, oh, I'm getting better at this. So I invested in marketing and I invested in. So for you, as you're like navigating the like rise and fall of clients and regression, and that seems to be a pattern in your story of this, what you described as a roller coaster. Yeah. What is kind of the stress point that makes you kind of go back to regression?
Inconsistency, I would say, is the biggest thing. So for example, 2025, vast majority of my clients, I'd say probably 85% or more, came from repeat business. So people who I'd done work for in years past, calling me up and needing another project. I had so much of that coming in that I like started to regress on marketing myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was just so focused on like getting all these projects done because obviously like these clients like me and I want to keep them and I want to keep doing.
So are you a one-man band or do you have a team?
Yes. So I'm my only employee of my business, and I do the vast majority of it. I've always handled all the sales and marketing for myself. I've always handled all the shooting. Sometimes when I'm really busy, I will outsource some of the editing to a specific editor. Took a very long time to get to that point to find someone who wasn't more difficult to hire them than they were for the amount of money.
Right.
Where I'm like, I make so many corrections to this, I might as well have just done it myself. That was my experience for a while.
Yeah.
So that I finally got to the point of having somebody who he handles 85% of the editing for me, and then I can finish it off, and we work in a team project in Premiere Pro, which is great because originally the person I was working with, I don't remember what they had used, but they had used a different editing platform. So it'd be I want them to mildly touch up the color grade or cut out a couple really tiny parts. And I'm having to timestamp every single thing to have them correct stuff that I could do myself in literally a minute or 2 minutes if I had access to the project.
Yeah.
So thankfully with this editor, it's been easy to where if there's a decent amount of corrections from the client or from myself, I can send that over to him. But if it's mild, I'll just finish it off myself. But he still did the brunt of the work, so that's nice.
Yeah,
but
that's sick.
Yeah, I love that. So you've been doing it now for 6 years. You said that you started doing it because you had to. Mm-hmm. Why did you have to?
So, as I said, it was extremely on the side, once in a while doing weddings. And at this point, I think it was very shortly after COVID happened. And I had some disagreements with my boss over the way that he was handling it. And it was a really crazy situation because I was weirdly loyal to this guy, even though he was not a good boss. Just to give a little perspective, I guess if we want to talk about crazy stories, this doesn't have to do with my current job, but I had requested, I told him I need this day off for my brother's wedding, of which I was the best man in his wedding. And I told him 9.5 months in advance.
Feels reasonable.
And his response was, all right, yeah, we'll see what we can do.
What?
And I was like,
9.5 months?
What do you mean we'll see? He's like, I'll look at the schedule and we'll see. I'm like, dude, we will not see. I'm letting you know I will not be here.
This is not a request.
This day matters more than this entire job.
Right, exactly. So
night.
When I had that experience, I was just having a boss like this. It was really just a power trip thing for him. He just wanted me to know that he's in control of my life, and that was just such a thing for me. But it didn't push me into leaving. But yeah, when the COVID stuff happened, we had a little bit of disagreements on that or whatever. It was really interesting because I was not
politely.
Yeah, he just. I wasn't aggressive with him or anything, but I think he was just stressed out by everything going on or whatever, and he just up and fired me on the spot.
Oh,
which was a really bad move because I ran half the store.
Yeah,
so I'm not really sure what led him to that decision, but that's what ended up happening. And then I was just okay, and I had this weird combination of wow, I just lost my job and I have nothing lined up. And then also this immediate total freedom of I'm so glad I was out of there because I probably would have stayed there for years and years longer.
Yeah.
Under a regime.
So if there was somebody working a job like that where they hated and they've imagined that they'd leave their job and they would work for themselves in a creative space, what would you say? I'm thinking, is there a safety net? We've talked about that recently that you should put in place, or there's somebody a mentor that talked to me about the idea of triggers, if this then this, maybe if I don't hit this point by this time, then I need to get another job, or any of those sorts of things that you would recommend to somebody who's thinking about doing it.
Yeah, so I'm naturally very much not a risk taker. That's why I think it was actually beneficial to me that's what ended up happening. Because if it hadn't, my thought would be I'd need 6 months of expenses saved up. I'd need consistent clientele, everything like that before I started going full-time. And I don't think I could have gotten to that point if I wasn't already doing it full-time because I wasn't making a lot at my job. It was hard to save anything or even just barely survive, much less. And I was working 55, 60-hour weeks, and it was an hour from me. So I didn't have a whole lot of free time to be taking on clients, which is why weddings kind of worked because they were on the weekend, and I didn't work on the weekend. But I didn't work on Sunday, I should say. But yeah, so I think that's the way it pushed me. I should give credit to my wife because, again, because of how conservative I am in that sense. My immediate thought was, I need to get another job, whatever it is. I just need to get a job ASAP. And my wife was we have some savings. Why don't you try pursuing the video stuff more just for a month or two and see what happens? And I was that's stupid. I'm gonna lose money. But
so you were like opposing it.
I was opposed to it because it wasn't secure enough to me.
What was the click that made you just say yes?
Trusting my wife's judgment.
Listen, there is one piece of advice that you could take away for all of your life, and it has nothing to do necessarily with video creation. But you said the most wise thing I've heard anybody say in the 5 episodes we've recorded. Trust your wife.
Trust your wife. It's true. It saved me a lot of heartache. But yeah, so I mean, we then prayed a lot about it, and we felt like that's what we were supposed to do. So I think within a couple weeks, I closed 2 projects that were, by all things considered now, like not huge projects, but at the time I was like, oh wow, I think I made like 3 months worth of what I would have been making at my job in just 2 deals. And I was like, okay, well, this maybe has something to it. So then at that point I started pursuing it more and realizing that it was more of like an actual career where if I sunk my time, and here I was naively thinking, now that I'm not working 60 hours a week, I can spend all this time on my business and definitely won't get distracted at home or sleep until 11 o'clock, which is really hard at first. And I heard so many people talk about like, you need to realize that when because again, I was working 60 hours a week, but what I didn't realize was, at least half of that time I was standing around at work, getting paid, not a lot, but getting paid for doing nothing. And in my head, I was
getting paid
working
to learn your new career.
Exactly. You're not wrong. That's true. But like in my head, I'm like, oh, if I take the 60 hours I'm working here and just switch it over to my own business, that'll be great, which it would have been. But I definitely did not do that at first. That was a struggle.
So this kind of relates to the next question I was going to ask. Was there like a reality check moment where all of a sudden it, like everything got real?
Yes. So I think we had, I'm just going to be really straight up, I think we had like around $10,000 saved when we got married, maybe a little bit more than that. And again, trying to be like ultra conservative about spending and stuff.
Which like if you had to guess based on where you lived, wife, several kids, how far could that have gotten you on a bare minimum? Like a month or 2?
A few months.
Okay.
But especially because, again, we're frugal. So like my brother, for example, cannot wrap his head around the fact that we eat out like once a month. Versus like multiple times a day or like every other day or whatever. Yeah. So I've always been relatively frugal in that sense. There are times in my life, especially when I was younger and I didn't have a family to take care of, where I would eat out all the time, but I very quickly learned how much of a waste of money that is.
Right.
But anyway, not even just that, just kind of everything. So my thought was, again, that can kind of get us through it, having that little nest egg or whatever. But at my job, I didn't fully realize like I wasn't making enough money even there. Yeah. It's like if I had stayed there, I would have lost it all eventually anyway, because we were like slowly dwindling that down.
Yeah.
And then again, I didn't realize how like inconsistent, especially starting being self-employed is. So it was like I closed these 2 big deals right off the bat, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm feeling really good. And then it was like 1 deal the next month, and it was nowhere near as big as either of the other 2. And then it was like nothing the month after that, and I'm like just quickly eating through our savings. Yeah, not even like paying for gear or anything unnecessary. It was just like paying to survive. Yeah. And when we got to the point where it was like we have like $1,000 left in savings and I have nothing coming up, like, okay, I really gotta crank down on this. That was kind of my turning point of like realizing that I'm not getting paid for all the time that I'm working, and I just need to make up for that in volume of work. Yeah. I still struggle with that today, honestly.
So you hit this like, oh crap, we're almost out of reserve, like we have to move. 2 questions. First of all, what were you feeling?
What was I feeling?
Yeah.
In that moment?
Yeah. Like I want this space to be one of commiseration, and I'm hoping that people listening will feel like if they're feeling something or have been in that spot, they're not crazy for feeling whatever they're feeling. So like, how did it feel?
Terrifying, to say the least. Like, we had decided that this is what we're going to do, and I, at that point, felt like it had been a mistake, and maybe I do need to just go back to getting a normal job. And if we're being real honest, this entire 60 years, I've had multiple moments of being like, do I just go back to having like a normal job?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if a normal job that I could just, even if I'm like not using the skills I have since learned, whether it's being video or sales or marketing, like even in those, most entry level positions aren't going to make enough for me to support my wife and 3 kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's not a safe option either.
Do you mind, because we've had episodes where we've talked about 6 figures. If you're not comfortable, we can just cut this part out. But talk about like the numbers a little bit and why you make that statement. Because we know that earning even 6 figures in this business isn't, your family doesn't get 6 figures, right? Like, but there is an income potential that far surpasses, right? What has that been for you? Like when you look at even in the inconsistency in the big months, you can cover several months of income. Are you comfortable with talking about that?
Sure. So 6 years full time, I have never once made 6 figures, even as a business.
Dang.
I believe I'm on track to do that this year, and I really hope and pray that it does happen.
Come on, let's go.
And I have some new strategies and things that I figure we'll end up talking about.
Yeah.
That I think will help get me there. But no, I've been surviving this entire time, and again, it's been having these moments of like, do I go back and get a normal job and do this on the side? But then realizing like, I definitely won't have.
What were you
much time
making
to
at
do that.
your
I was
job
making
with
like
Weird Boss?
35,000 a year.
Holy buckets!
Yeah, that wouldn't do it.
No,
Does your wife work?
At the time she did.
Okay, so you had two income. I'm
yes.
like,
So I think.
and I used to make 18 a year. Like,
Yeah, like,
I'm like, oh my gosh.
I don't remember exactly what she made, but I think it was like around 20. She taught piano.
Sick.
And then she taught that all the way. Yeah, she's been playing piano for 22 years or something crazy.
You
like
play
that,
music too?
I do, yeah. Guitar, bass,
What
and
is
drums.
that? I think every person I know who does video is also a musician.
Oh yeah.
Well, because they probably
Like the
realized
creativity.
the odds of making money doing music was even harder than video.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
100%.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Unless you're a piano teacher, $20,000 a year for teaching piano is not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. So
Good for her.
So she did that for a bit, and then I think up until she was like 9 months pregnant with our first kid.
Dang.
Okay.
And then at that point we were like, okay, obviously she's going to need some time off. And then we were unsure of whether or not she would go back to it.
Yeah.
And this is
she
in
just decided
Illinois,
not
you
to.
guys. For
Which is-
anybody listening who doesn't live in Illinois,
He lives in Wisconsin, so he's got a little
Oh,
cheaper.
y'all, that's insane. I said y'all like I'm from Texas. I'm not.
I say y'all all the time.
I'm from Nebraska.
Second question about that low point, on top of how you felt, what did you do? What was your next step?
Honestly, it was long enough ago that I don't entirely remember.
Yeah.
I think a combination of focusing way more on the business aspect in terms of how can I make profitable sales, which ultimately comes down to how can I solve bigger problems for businesses and how can I provide more value. I was really stuck in like I need to offer one single video to businesses so I can get my foot in the door and then we'll do stuff later. But like not everyone needs to start that small, I realized. So I started I think it was right around that point that I started offering more like video packages. It also just makes way more sense. I don't know why it took me so long to get into that, but like if we're there shooting and we could shoot
Let's do some stuff.
way more videos
100%.
in the single moment and I could charge less per video, but have like an overall package price like that would sell pretty well, I would think. So
as we're talking about value add and kind of the point of this podcast, you say you're on track to potentially hit that 6-figure mark this year. What are some of the business implementations you've added this year to trying to hit that?
Currently working on them. Honestly, it's more of like by on track, I mean, mentally.
Got it. Okay.
I think
that's important.
I have more of like the initial drive that I had when I was starting. Because we all know like when you're getting started, you just are so passionate about like, I just want to do stuff. And I had a combination of that from like passion for video, but then also the fact that like I just lost my job and I need to make stuff like I need to right now. So like I'd spent all my time like trying to do whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of back at that point in a combination of desperation for finances, but also just realizing I need to reframe what I've been doing.
Sure.
So I had actually kind of been taught in some of the marketing stuff that I'd gone through of like a way to simultaneously position yourself well, but provide good value is to do like custom plans for people. So literally this entire time I've done everything custom to where like I talk to the business, I learn about what it is that they got going on, how they make money, what they've done for marketing, what they're currently doing for marketing and all that sort of stuff. And then I'll be like, okay, so based on your situation, here's the type of videos that I think would really help you right now. Here's why, here's where we would implement them. And then if they go for it, we create those videos, and then sometimes it depends on the size of the business. A lot of times they already work with a marketing company, and I hand it off to them and hope that they do with what they're supposed to do with it. Other times, if they're a little bit smaller or they don't work with a marketing company, I can help implement that for them, whether it be putting it on their website, on their social media pages, or more recently, I've been running ad campaigns for people as well, based on some of the videos that we create.
Yeah.
This sounds exactly like what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into that now for sure.
That's solving pain points, figuring out. And so that customization, though, when you say that that's what you've been taught to do, are you trying to lean into something that's more standardized or uniform?
Yes. So it's been beneficial in a way because, again, you're positioning yourself as like, I'm creating something that's custom for you in your current situation, which is great.
Well, you're setting yourself up as a business partner now.
Yes. But a lot of times, especially with a lot of the businesses I've worked with, they either have nothing video-wise, or they have like a video or two that somebody made for them 9-10 years ago. It's like extremely outdated and terrible, and they still kind of use it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great if it works for them, but it obviously doesn't. Right? So really they could use anything. Right. And I found myself a lot of times falling into, at least for like a starting project, something like what I call a video business card. And I'm not coining that term myself. That's from a course that I took a long time ago. But basically like a brand video of some sort. So just like this is who we are as a business. This is how we're different and how we operate. And then some sort of call to action, something that can live on their website or whatever else. Perfect. And then client testimonials. Those are huge.
Yeah, those are. We're gonna get more into client testimonials. Sure. We're running out of time, so we're gonna take a break. I don't know what take a break means.
Means we're gonna play our advertisements.
Post this, but what it really means is we need to
transition.
Press record again.
No, it means we're gonna let our advertisers play because we're a big podcast.
Yeah, we have 5 listeners that I know of, and we're advertising to you.
Yeah, that's right. All right, we'll be right. We'll be right back.
Did you press record on this one? Are you a ninja?
I mean, I thought I did. Now I'm doubting myself. I'm going to check it.
Oh my goodness, this is relatable. Literally just click record and then go back 2 seconds to look again.
I do it all the time. I've had so many weirdness.
I've had to learn to trust myself.
So I've had so many weirdness. I don't know what that means.
No, I check everything way too many times, but it's because I don't want to have a situation where, we record a whole interview and I'm like, oh, well, didn't press record on this.
Like, when I do interviews, I use like these Tascam lav mics. Yeah. And it's just become a part of my mental process to, about one question into the interview, say, can you just make sure that pack is counting up? I just want to be sure we're getting this.
I always start it before they sit down, and then like again, once I check the cameras 15 times to make sure they're rolling, I go back. I'm like, can I just check that one more time just to be sure? Yeah. Sure enough, I did.
It always is.
But there have been times where it wasn't.
Right.
And you have that process because it's happened.
Any devastating stories like that?
Not devastating. I did have one time where I definitely attempted to press record. I guess I just didn't press it hard enough, and this was pretty early on when I didn't check things a million times.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't started the B cam. Mm-hmm. So it was like a multi-cam interview, and I'd only had the A cam going, which isn't horrible, but I'd set up 2 cameras, and I planned on having 2 cameras. Yep. But it went like so fast. Like she was just so on point with everything she answered, and it was like 5 minutes for us to get everything that we needed. Because I think I was interviewing 3 separate people for one video that was going to be like 90 seconds long. So it's like I didn't need a ton from each person, and she was just so like direct and easy with answering the questions. Yeah. And then I go back and I'm like, oh crap, the B camera didn't record. And I was like, can we do that one more time? I just want to kind of run through. And she's like, oh, did you forget to press record? And I was like, well, she called you. She totally called me out at it.
The number of times I've been like, that was really good. I just want to make sure that we got it. So can we do this a second time?
I actually ended up using mostly from the first time we shot it and just using the A-cam.
Yeah.
Because what she had said was so good. And it wasn't bad the next time, but I kind of cut between the two.
Did you throw B-roll on as well, or was it just
very
shots?
mild because of what the nature of that video?
Yeah.
Honestly, most of the time I get in that position. If I had another source camera on it, I just move on. I just.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, if I recorded like a 20-minute interview, I'm not gonna reshoot that. But
okay, so coming back, you were saying a good thing while we were on commercial break, and I told you to shut up so you could say it on the recording.
Okay. I don't know what noise just came out of my mouth, but I also wanted to continue on with he was flowing and I cut him off again. I'm a terrible host.
That's not true. That's not true.
But I want to get into that because I think you think similarly to the way that I think, which makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm on the right track. But I do a similar thing to you where I would go in and have a discovery meeting, figure out the pain points, and customize a content plan, particularly for like social media, right? Like that's where most of this content lives. But then I create processes of scalable, repeatable content that then requires longer term contracts instead of like short term even packages where we're like, hey, we're going to do 15 videos in a package, and then when these 15 videos run out, we might try to do 10 or 15 more. I do like monthly retainer packages, which have worked out well for me.
Yeah.
And so, and that's honestly, I'm a little bit biased towards retainers because of I learned pretty early on, like it can be really big peaks and valleys, and even having a retainer model, there's still some of that, but it mitigates. I don't have to go out and search for work all the time because I have a clientele base up and a monthly like revenue base that I'm going to hit every month, and it's surpassed what my family financial needs are. So then the excess of that gets to go back into the business and all those things. So, I think that is where I have geared early on in my business is towards that. Still custom, still figuring out what those clients' specific pain points are, and then really showing the value of, hey, if we did this for a whole year or 6 months or whatever, here's what we can analytically look at to see the progress of these campaigns. But that's really where I was going with that, and why I think that's so important for the reasons that you've talked about. I get squirrely because you have 3 kids, I have 3 daughters. If there were ever a time where I'm like, I can't put food in their mouths, or I can't afford the mortgage, or like, it becomes a really, really big motivating thing.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what I mean? Like I get really almost unhealthily panicky, Mm-hmm. And so that's early on, that was why I went towards that model of business. And I think that for, moving forward, were you getting to that point? I cut you off.
That's something I'm really working towards this year as well. Yes.
Yeah.
I had mildly attempted it a couple times, but more just kind of like general content, which isn't necessarily bad. I think I just picked the wrong clients to talk to about it, because like one of them, we did 2 months. I'm still not sure what happened. She acted ecstatic about the content and like she loved it, but then she like didn't really post it, and she had like a team that does stuff for her.
Yeah.
And I even offered, I was like we could do the postings for you if they're like not going to be on top of it. So I think we had already done 2 months of content, so it was like 20-ish videos, and she posted one of them.
Ooh.
Yeah. And again, she acted like she was super happy with it, and she was like excited to start getting it out there, but they weren't using it. And then the 3rd month, she was like, I think we got enough content that we don't need to do this. And I didn't have her like locked into a contract of like, we absolutely have to do it every single month. So I was like, okay, well, again, let me know if you need help with posting it so you can get caught up and we can continue or whatever. And then I was just totally ghosted. Again, still not sure what happened. If it was, I seriously doubt it was the quality of the content, because I honestly put way too much effort into it. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just that she didn't see the value of it because she wasn't utilizing it. And that's why I want to get more into that process of like, we handle the utilization side as well, because we're
interesting.
I don't want it to be, on one hand, I don't like the idea of doing that. Yeah. So I might have to hire somebody else to do that.
That makes
part.
Me shudder, dude.
I know. Yeah. But on the other hand, I'm like, if I am creating content for someone and it's not working for them solely because they are not using it,
100%.
Like my work isn't doing anything for them. They're not going to need repeat business or like want repeat business from me because it's not working.
And it's not even your fault.
And it's not even my fault.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, that's something I'm wanting to utilize as well, but I'm not sure exactly how I'd go about that yet, because I don't want to do it.
That's so interesting, because I also, there's a client that we had talked about doing, like our first conversations, they were like, we have lists and lists of videos that we need to do and we want to do all of them. And I was like,
exciting.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Nice. And I mean, we'll probably still do more work with them in the future, but after, we worked with them through last year, and then we hit this point where they were like, hey, we're focusing on finishing up this other stuff. We haven't even used the videos that you've made so far, so we need to wait. And I was like, what's the gap? Like, I'm not mad. It's not that they didn't like it. It's not that they won't use it. But in my brain, I'm like, is there a solution that could have been offered that could have kept the momentum going?
I've had a client like this as well. I think this is I want us to talk about this. This is important.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a client, same thing. I walked into a discovery meeting with them, and they had probably 60 ideas on their own of content, of series. And so I pitched them my normal retainer.
Yep.
We were going 6 months in, the same client who had 60 plus ideas goes, what do I do with this content? And in our discovery meeting, I gave them the roadmap, and they had a marketing person in-house. And I gave their marketing person the roadmap of how to use and when to post the series content that we did, and then the PPC content we did, pay-per-click advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I look at him confused, and I'm like, we had a plan.
Yeah.
All you had to do basically was press play. Like, this was a very easy plan. And so in that moment, I just started asking questions. Like, I'm a little bit older. I'm kind of the old guy in this group. So I'm 38.
Wow, you're so old, dude.
37. Flip, I don't know how old I am. I'm that.
You're in that range.
I'm there.
30s.
Almost 40.
Yeah.
And so I just had an adult conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to talk down at this guy, but I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
And so the excitement that a lot of business owners have, and a lot of business, and I feel like we all kind of have the same target market, right? Small to mid-tier businesses. Like, we're not going after Nike. We're not going after big brands. We're going after, brands that are accessible to us, right?
Right.
And so what a lot of these people do is they get really excited about business, and they have a little bit of ADD, and then they go in a million directions, and they don't hone in on one thing that they're got excited for, and they moved on.
Yeah.
So we had this content strategy, and so he's like trying to get out of the contract, and I'm like, well, let's back up. You signed a contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the ramifications of that. But instead of that, why don't we start utilizing?
Yeah.
What is it going to take for you to start utilizing this the correct way and get the results that you were so excited about months ago? Because his comment was like, I've spent X amount of dollars on this. What am I going to get the return? And I'm like, well, you mean you're not getting a return? And, so we have this conversation, and I actually just mapped out for him, if you want to, And this is the beauty of contracts. And some people will say, well, if your work is good enough, you don't need contracts. And this client proved to me why you do. Even if you are grade A, top notch, you can produce the results. If they won't do it, that's not on you, right? 100%. And so I've always pushed into this contract in the retainer model because it gives a harder pull out for clients, because then they're so he kept working with me through the year and he didn't re-sign me. Mm-hmm. And now he's trying to re-sign me because and it was because
you proved the value.
I proved the value. Yeah. So I went to the marketing person and I was like, hey, I had this conversation with the owner. What's that about? And really what it was a miscommunication between those two. Yeah. Because the marketing person is utilizing the content and she's like, well, we posted this video, we did a PPC ad, and we generated, like it was at that one particular video was $1.8 million.
Yeah, no value there.
Was your contract $1.8 million?
No.
Then I feel like that's pretty good.
So I then, in my next meeting with the guy, says, hey, you said this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
I went to this person and they said this, 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 and this. So I was able to help bridge a gap of communication. That was like an interpersonal thing in their company. And so it's not going to be that smooth all the time, right? But I think that's kind of the rub is part of managing your business with your clients. If you go down this route, and I'm not saying you, Ben, person, I'm saying like this is something all of us need to learn, is that when you are a business owner and you're providing value and you're in this creative space, you also have to wear negotiation hats. Yeah. You also have, you're wearing all the hats.
Oh, yeah.
You also have to wear a conflict management hat. And if you don't know how to have conflict management and you don't know how to retain your value with a client, they're going to ship on and move out, or whatever that saying is, because if they're not locked in with you as a business partner, and there's nothing holding them to use your work or to continue to use your work, then they're most likely, when you're in that situation, their brain is firing all kinds of ideas and they're trying things and they're not patient with things. Yeah. And they don't understand like marketing takes time, organic growth takes time, and that there's a whole strategy to it.
I mean, that goes into one of the biggest changes I'm going to make this year. So
tell me.
What I've ultimately realized, and I've always kind of known this, but it's just a new way of framing it, is that like the businesses, they don't care about video at all. They don't want to buy video. They want to buy ROI, honestly. That's really what it is. Now, a lot of the videos that we create are very beneficial in terms of like I said, like a brand video or a video business card, something that lives on the website. That's very different. A lot of businesses still don't have that. They just have text and text and text. So I'm getting to like actually see people inside the business and hear them talk and see what they're doing. That's super beneficial. And if they actually did care to track it and like look at the website, they could see, people are spending way more time on this page because they're actually watching the video, and that helps pre-sell them. So it does have a benefit. It's not super trackable though. Again, that's the main way that you can track it, is looking on the amount of time that somebody's staying on a web page, but they're not really necessarily going to do that. So what I've been thinking is that the most obvious way to show my value is the direct ROI. So a way I'm planning on shifting is productizing it a little bit more and creating ad plans to where we're going to create X amount of videos that are all going to be run as advertisements. We'll run the meta campaign, so we'll completely target it, retarget it, track everything for them. It's going to take some communication on their part, obviously, because like it's going to turn into, did those leads actually turn into sales and how much were those sales? But if we get to that point and we see they spent X amount with me and they spend X amount on ad spend, and this is how much they made from it, and there's that direct, obvious, you invested this much into these videos and to run them, and you made this much from it. I feel like that's a much easier sell than just like, oh, trust me, they are providing value. Believe me.
It's an easier sell if the ROI shows.
If the ROI shows, So that's part of the thing.
That's
for
the
me
trick,
is,
right? Because what you're saying is, what I'm hearing is, you're shifting from being a video production agency to a marketing agency.
To an extent. I have no desire to start building websites or to run SEO, but like to run the ads that we create on Meta and specifically track that. That's something I'm interested in, not just in terms of like doing it because it is kind of fun, but more so just to be able to show that direct ROI. And like I've had success with it myself, and right now I'm actually in the process, and this is part of the reason why I said I think I'll do well, is I'm in the process of creating far more targeted ads than I have in the past. I've only run Meta ads twice, but both times I got an 8 to 10 times return on them.
For your business or for another?
For my business.
Okay, sick.
So
we should talk more about that because I've never run any ads, and I've been thinking this year I should tinker.
And I'm obviously what we do is still semi high ticket, but it's lower ticket than a lot of the clients. I've worked in a lot of clients in like the construction and roofing space.
Yeah,
we're talking tens or potentially even $100,000 plus per client.
Yeah.
They have pretty good margins, like 40 to 50% a lot of the time. And so, you know, if we're running an ad campaign that costs them a few $1,000s or plus the ad spend, let's say it's a few $1,000s a month or whatever, but it's closing multiple like 50 or like 30 or $20,000 projects, and that's like consistent for them, and I can show them again, this is how much you spent with me, this is how much you spent in ad spend, and this is how much you're making.
Yeah.
Like, why would they not keep that ball rolling as long as it is working? So then I have to keep up to date on creating new ads for them and creating things that are going to still work, and not just like sitting back and be like, I'm just going to let this run because that works to an extent, but it only works for so long.
Yeah.
So I would need to stay on top of that in the way I work with them, but that would help with that retainer.
Do you do much with case studies? Because the tricky thing with what you're talking about, in my limited experience, is at the end of the day, marketing is still unpredictable, right? Because like you're going to make the best thing possible in the best way possible and present it, but at the end of the day, people have to move or not. And so you can create data based on success and learn, okay, this tends to be more successful, but at the end of the day, it's still, you're no more reliable than the weatherman to an extent, right? Like it could change. Have you used case studies to say like, hey, listen, at the end of the day, this is unpredictable, but these are some examples of when we've done it and how well it has worked. It's possible and it's not, and the odds of success are pretty good.
So this kind of goes back to an earlier point that we talked about and not undervaluing yourself. I not only learned that working with cheaper clients, if you want to call them that they are more demanding, but the other side of that is if you like randomly give discounts or lower your price when someone just asks you to, it devalues your work. That was one of the biggest things that made me not want to do that, because I not super often, but I've had multiple times where someone's like, oh, that's kind of a lot. And then they just kind of leave it there. Or they're like, oh, could we maybe do it for less? And like, I'm not just going to lower my price because of that, because then that cheapens my work, right? Like, not only do I then make less money, but I'm also telling them, actually, my work isn't as valuable as what I just told you 10 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to be in that space. So I'm starting to forget what you originally said.
Oh, my main question was like, have you or do you plan on using like case studies to make this case for it?
I think something that would help that, I don't want to just like give discounts, but I'm thinking of, for starting with this, I'm going to work with certain clients at like a discounted rate, but in exchange for a testimonial video once we've gotten through it. So like, let's say I run ads for them for 3 months. At the end of that, they do a testimonial video with me for my business of them talking about how successful that was for them. And I could then use that in my own ads.
So that's not
not
a discounted rate. That's an introductory rate.
Exactly. Yeah. No, there you go. That's a good way to put it.
I think so. Language in that does matter when it comes to value proposition, right?
Yeah.
But I think the other thing, and here's something that I've noticed, don't abandon. I wouldn't abandon organic content on social media.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So one thing that's I've researched on a little bit and noticed with my clients that if you only have those PPC advertisements and the only content that is coming out of a brand is sell or like, hey, buy my thing, do this thing, their long-term retention goes down, because the trend on social media right now is actually people are treating social media the same way that pre-COVID people treated, TV studios. Like they are using social media to be entertainment.
Yeah.
And so if you're trying to build trust, if you're trying to, figure out what, should I go with this person or this person? Oftentimes people are now, well, one, they're leveraging AI.
Yeah.
And they're trying to shop for trust. So like that's a huge trend that's happening in our country. And so I still think like it is less trackable ROI, but the trust building engine that social media provides, that your website provides, that YouTube provides, which right now more people are viewing YouTube than any other streaming platform that exists.
Yeah.
Then your clients are missing something that is going to stunt they'll get short-term growth potentially from an advertisement that you run. But if it stops, all of a sudden you're like, well, this just stopped. It's because people can't stand takers.
Yeah, true.
Like that is
so in an ideal world, we'd also do regular like educational social media content to where like putting out, free education and just reels and stuff like that. And we do continue to do those trust building videos like client testimonials are so successful.
And that's where we had cut you off before, because that client testimonial, when you say as a brand, you should trust me, that's one thing. Yeah. But when somebody's like, I did this and I trust them, holy buckets.
We are, believe it or not, already nearly at time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know, things have just been sailing. But before, like we've still got maybe 5 minutes or something. And so, but I wanted to do a little bit of a closer. Why, with all of the hardship, all of the challenges, the BS, the work, why do you still do it?
It's a great question. I think I largely still have the belief that I can make it work. And I've been making it work. Again, I always am down on myself of I'm not making as much as I should, or I need to work harder, or et cetera. But like, I'm making significantly more than I did at any job I have previously,
right?
Which is great. And I think I need to just have that like rationale of like, I always want to say that like I'm failing, but like I'm not really failing. I'm still making it work. And there's so much potential for growth as long as I don't just push for it by working as hard as possible. Obviously that's part of it. But like if I'm smart in the way that I update my strategies and try different things and ultimately change how I operate based on what people need and what's currently going on. Like I was so against vertical video for a long time. I still am personally. But like I had to adapt and start offering that, even though I don't personally like it because I'm all into the composition and whatever. Like it's what people want. It's what people view. Yeah, right. Exactly. People can't do this. So So because
and you
of
get
that,
so
we
tired
need to
of
adapt.
starting the videos with the like, turn your phone.
Oh my goodness, yeah, no. So I had to adapt, and now we are having to adapt with AI. And honestly, it's been super benefit. Like people keep asking me, like, "Aren't you scared for your business?" And it is true that it shocks me how many times I see a video and literally a split second of it coming on a screen, I'm like, "This is AI." Yep. And then all the comments are people like, "Oh, this is so cute," or "This is so funny," and blah blah blah. I'm like, how do you not? And
do you see the way his hand moved? That was not realistic.
Exactly. I'm just like, so there's that, and it's gonna just get better and better. But also, it's a tool, and it's already been amazing in the way I can edit my sound in a way that is so much faster than anything I've been able to do before. Or I don't do photos as a business really, but like my wife has me take photos for kids all the time. The way I'm able to, there's just a tiny annoying thing in the background, and I could literally just click on it and it's gone and it looks perfect somehow, as opposed to before where you'd have to like try to grab stuff around it.
Some
and like
clone stamping
and like it's amazing. Yeah. And I think we just need to continuously educate ourselves, because again, early on, it's so easy to be like, I'm passionate about this, I'm going to learn as much as I can. Yeah. And then you get into the business side and it's like, okay, well now I'm actually running a business and I'm surviving on this. So like you're just trying to build the business. But I think it's important to constantly be going back and educating ourselves on like what's new, what are new tools I can use, 100%. What are new ways I can utilize these in order to benefit the businesses that I am working with, however you want to put it, in order to provide more value to them. So I just see so much potential in that, and as long as I can stay on that road, I think it's worth it.
Dude, that's encouraging. I hope for anybody who is listening to that, like one thing that stuck out to me is like you haven't hit six figures yet from a business standpoint, but the potential's there. Mm-hmm. And even though you haven't hit it over the course of 6 years, that potential, that high ceiling is something that's super motivating because you have kids, like of all those things. So I've been encouraged listening to your story. I think you're on the right track. It's awesome that you came on and hung out with us and commiserated a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I'm super grateful for your time and your wisdom. I think it's really cool hearing how your perspective is really similar to ours, but then different in some ways. Like so I want to do a lot more of it. So thank you again. We'll have to have you on again.
Of course.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. And we'll put any kind of like contact information and stuff in the episode description so people can connect with you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
heck yeah.
Cool. Yeah, dude. Thank you all for listening, watching. If you have questions, comments, ideas, crazy stories of your own, you can either comment them where you're watching, or you could send it to canyouchangethemusic@gmail.com. We have an email address because we did all the things. And
he did all the things.
I did a lot of the I did all the things.
He did all the things. I had the idea to start a podcast, and then
and I was like, what if we did 4 cameras? I could use my Red. What if we,
and I was just like, hey man, you do you.
Yeah.
I'll show up.
and now we out here. So thank you all.
I drive here. That's the thing.
That's true. He has a long drive.
That's the only thing.
It balances out.
It balances out. No,
Do all the work and he drives here.
I recognize that it doesn't, but I appreciate you.
No. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.